Okay, this just in, so I'm trying to get you some of the latest. I've been talking about the Kostner divorce in previous social media, but also in our podcast, the I Just Want This Done podcast. It's out on Apple Podcasts and also on YouTube now. It'll get out. We'll get it on Google and also Stitcher and Spotify soon. But anyway, important order got entered after a 2-day hearing in the Kevin Kostner divorce. And you might recall there's a prenup in this case. A really big prenup because Kostner, when he got divorced the first time in the late 90s, it was $80 million that he gave to his ex-wife. And so he wasn't going to run into that issue again when he got married the second time in the early 2000s. Prenups do work, ladies and gentlemen, and this one will work, I assure you. So I'm not sure what was actually filed, but there was originally a temporary support order entered offering or giving his soon-to-be ex $129,000 in temporary child support a month. Kostner had offered about 50-some thousand, and the Christine Baumgartner had demanded like $250 a month. But the court originally ordered temporary support of $129,755. Now, you might say, well, why isn't that covered by the prenup? Because child support can't be covered by prenups. So it is wide open, and that, depending on state law, it can be based on lifestyle achieved for the children during the marriage. I'm not a California divorce lawyer. This is not a substitute for legal advice. I'm a Chicago divorce lawyer, but I can interpret this based on my knowledge and give you some insights. So after a 2-day hearing, the court reduced the temporary support order down to $63,200 a month, which I know sounds astronomical to you and me and most other people. Kostner and his wife Christine were living an extremely fancy life. Kostner's property, I'm looking at the article now, just one of his estates, the one in California, I think was estimated at $150 million in value, something like that. Anyway, they lived a very nice lifestyle. And the argument that Christine was making was, if you want the children to live near you, it's going to be expensive. If you want to live in any type of home that's anywhere near as nice as they're living in now, it's going to be expensive, et cetera. So the court set originally a very high number from yours and my perspective, and then a slightly less astronomical number. But this isn't probably in line with a lifestyle. For folks with this kind of money, this is not unusual to have expenses in this range and even much higher. So there's some interesting testimony in here. They talk about how Kevin Kostner seemed foggy about his finances. It sounds like they're talking about a financial affidavit, because he says, at the point I signed this, I remember thinking the number seemed very large, and I'm guessing that's his income. But I trusted them and signed it. Oh yeah, income expense, his attorney submitted to the court. Okay, so in our state, you have to submit an income and expense affidavit, also with your assets and liabilities. I'm sure he did the same thing. And he probably wasn't super solid on all the numbers. And a thing lawyers will do is question people closely about these affidavits. And somebody in Kostner's position isn't going to know all the details of their finances. They have people for that. He's going to know generally what he's got. He's going to know generally what his income is. But things are so complicated, he doesn't know all that's going on. He was making, reportedly, $1.5 million per episode of Yellowstone. And I had read somewhere leasing his a ranch out and horses and everything for the production. So there's all these streams of income that Mr. Kostner has that he's not going to know all the details of, and that's not unusual. Apparently, he was questioned about Baumgartner's rental property. They said, she moved into it since being ordered by the court to vacate. By the way, the prenup said she could only stay in his houses for 30 days after any initiation of divorce proceedings, and she stayed longer. And Kostner's attorneys asked the court to force her to leave, and the court eventually did order that she leave. So again, prenups work. They might take a little time, it takes some litigation, but they do work. It says, Kostner noted that Baumgartner's rental property, which she moved into, is comparable but not equal to the beach club compound they once shared. I'm sure it isn't. I mean, he has this, enormous estate in California, and the prenup didn't promise her equal. The prenup gave her $1.4 million flat amount of money, and then there's child support on top of that. But there is no law that says she gets an equal home to the one that she was in before with him. That's the price of getting divorced when you've got a prenup. he did admit that she made some nice touches and add-ons to the original estate. And I'm sure her lawyers were trying to make a point that, she contributed in some way to his property that she had to leave. But still, with the prenup, you got the prenup, and it doesn't matter how much you did to the place. You got to go. The article says Kostner admitted to being fed dumbed-down versions of accounting by his team. He said, "We realize there's a lot of things I don't know." Well, again, I'm going to stick up for him here because he's not. How's he going to know all that stuff? I mean, I'm sure Bill Gates didn't know everything he had all the time, and Bezos and anybody with this kind of money has a good ballpark idea, but not knowing every moving part. Baumgartner was questioned about future plans for employment and an alleged boyfriend. Well, those are questions that they're going to ask because the boyfriend isn't really relevant if maintenance isn't in the picture, at least in Illinois law, because moving in with somebody on a permanent basis would terminate maintenance in Illinois. I'm sure they asked to find out if she was getting her living expenses supplemented by somebody else. And future plans for employment are kind of like, are you going to be supporting yourself because her income is, at least in Illinois, is taken into consideration when calculating child support, and I'm guessing it is in California as well. They're married for 18 years, and he's 68, she's 49. I believe they have 3 kids, and correct me if I'm wrong on that, folks. So that's it. You might, the news kind of makes this sound like a big battle. It says divorce court battle over child support. Well, I guess it's a battle, but these are kind of the ordinary ebb and flow of a divorce case where there's push and pushback, and she wants more money, he wants to offer less, etc. And to somebody like me who's been doing this for over 20 years, I've been a lawyer for almost 30 years. It's hard to believe. This is typical stuff. I mean, the numbers are high, but they're large, but this is the kind of stuff you see in cases. People have a battle over child support. If there's a prenup, that's not unusual. She's trying to get every dollar she can out of this deal, and I understand. She's in a situation where now she's left with what to most of us is a lot of money. If she gets the money in the prenup, it's $1.4 million plus the child support. This is kind of an interesting prenup for a couple reasons. One is it has a fixed sum in it, and that's it. So if she gets divorced, she gets $1.4 million according to the prenup. And the other thing, child support's obviously an open item, and so is custody. That's never something you can nail down in any prenup. But the other interesting thing that's in it is what I'm calling a poison pill, which is if she challenges the prenup's validity unsuccessfully, she could lose the 1.4 and have to pay his attorney's fees. That's a big deal. And so if her lawyers challenge the validity of the prenup, they are really rolling the dice, in my opinion, with her chance of getting this money. I'm the author of the book, I Just Want This Done, and main thing I talk about in there is cost-benefit analysis and understanding the risks and rewards of pursuing a given tactic in a case. If it were me, I'm not a California lawyer, but I can tell you on general principle, I wouldn't be recommending that she challenge the validity of the prenup. Instead, I would agree with the idea of trying to get as much child support as possible based on the lifestyle and all that stuff. That makes sense from a strategy standpoint, and that's not going to endanger her ability to get the lump sum from the prenup deal. But you wouldn't want to roll the dice with losing the 1.4 and paying his attorney's fees, which I'm guessing are not going to be small. That's it. I hope you found this interesting and entertaining, and hope it might help you in some way. I'll try to do more celeb news in the future. We're going to be talking about this in our podcast episodes 2, 3, and 4 are going to be dropping every week. My team told me they're ready to go, so we'll be getting those out on video and audio formats. I'm going to drop episode 2 probably tomorrow, and I'll put a TikTok out to let everybody know that it's out. I hope you check out episode 1 and give me your feedback. I would love to hear what you think about it and say what you like, what you don't like. If you want to see something different or something more, we're getting our feet under us. We think we found a groove. We're entertaining. We're talking about celeb divorces, a little bit about business. We're talking about some practical advice about divorce, dating trends, some funny stuff. So we're trying to be interesting and educational, and also, keep it fresh and entertaining. So hope you listen. Thanks a lot.